Excuse me. I think we're live. Just in time to see me start coughing. I think we are. Yes. Oh yeah, says live at the top. Of course. It's been a while between drinks. Hello watching. If you are tuning into this live at any time, please send me a like, an emoji to say that you're in there and are listening in. This is my third crack at Q&A with myself and asking the coaches, so it's really exciting. And thank you to everyone that sent me all of their questions. It's really cool. I really enjoy doing this because it helps us as coaches, not just myself, keep things relevant, things like this that are on your mind. It's really fun to get down and talk about nitty-gritty stuff. So the first question that was submitted was from Kelly. Kelly, you actually submitted a few questions as well as you, Nikki, so I'm very grateful for that. So I'll just start piecing my way through it. Kelly has sent a question in as someone who has an out of control sweet tooth. What are your top tips for upgrading junk food into something more nutritious? So this is a really good question, and I feel like you've come to the right place. I am a world's biggest sweet tooth. I have had very, very poor upbringing in terms of nutrition. My dad still to this day has a coffee and biscuits, like sweet biscuits with like cream and chocolate stuff all over them. He has them for breakfast every morning and again at afternoon tea, and is always hoeing into like the coffee and cakes down the street. Is just a world-renowned sweet tooth in himself. And my mum, when we were growing up, our usual breakfast as kids was an up and go, which is like, I think you can still buy them in the store. It's like a box drink. It's like a cream drink, and you could get all different flavors like chocolate or vanilla or strawberry or whatever. Basically just a pop, I don't know what you call it, Tetra pack of sugar. And my mum would be buying us muffins for breakfast. And I'm not talking about like savory muffins or bagels. I'm talking about baked muffins. Like we would get an up and go that was full of sugar plus another blueberry muffin or a chocolate muffin on top of that. And that was my breakfast for a really, really long time. And so I'm somewhat predisposed to having a sweet tooth. And still to this day, I just really love sweet things. So one of the things that I have learnt with my condition, of course, I had insulin resistance, which amplifies sweet or savory cravings, and for me it was sweet. That I learnt along the way that there's a lot of habitual stuff behind it. So I realized that it was a lot of emotional choices coming in when I was starting to make better food choices, and that I was subconsciously going back and reverting back to the sweet foods because I had always eaten them for a really long time of my life. So when I started making changes, I had to have a think about ways to keep including sweet things without breaking the bank, so to speak. So previously, as you know, my sweet choices were like anything to do with chocolate, anything to do with lollies or sweet treats. So what I started to do was replace every meal that I was wanting something sweet with something like fruit. I did start changing up some of my foods. So like, for example, instead of having an afternoon like sweet treat, I would have the biggest bowl of fruit, that I could, well, not stomach, but I could eat. So I'd have all different types of sweet fruits. I'd have some apple, I'd have watermelon, and I'd have, pineapple, strawberries, grapes, blueberries, like whatever I could get my hand on, and I would make an effort to include and replace some of that junk food and processed sweet stuff for more naturally sweet foods. And that really does the trick for me. I do find the smoothies are also a really good way to have you know, upgrading that junk food type of thing, because some of those smoothies, you can make them taste like actual treats. There's a recipe in our documents, in our files, in this particular Facebook group, that's called the pina colada smoothie, and holy hell, it is exactly like you would expect. It's exactly like a pina colada. It's got all the lovely creamy flavors and fruity flavors, and for me, things like that I've learned really hit my spot. So Kelly, what you need to be aware of is you know, where your sweet tooths are happening and where you're most likely to head towards the sweet unprocessed crap, and start replacing it. So I would even go as far as suggesting putting fruit in your salads. So making a big lovely salad and then having slices of orange or strawberries or watermelon or pineapple, like a chicken and mango salad, like it, those types of things. They're kind of like stuff you see at a restaurant, but they're things that you can do at home as well with your meals to also keep up that sort of sweet, you know, taste palette, because everyone loves sweet things. So that's some of the things that I do in my life, but I probably wanted to have a little chat about why you are experiencing the cravings in the first place. So I did mention that my whole history is just based around eating lollies all the time and just constantly being exposed to that. But there's a reason why you have those nagging cravings. So I guess it comes back down to the fundamentals of why you are craving those things. So sure, there's an emotional aspect, but then there's also going to be a physical aspect as well. So things that cause cravings are things like being nutrient deficient. So if your meals aren't very colorful, or they're not very big, or you're consuming too much processed crap, your nutrient deficiencies will drive your hormonal platform to constantly try and spike, which in that spike is where you get that message of I need some food, but it's translated as I want something sweet, because sugar is our body's way of saying, hey, I need something quick to stop my body from dropping further, and it's translated as I need sweet, or I need sugar. So a nutrient deficiency is going to, if you have one, it is going to drive your cravings through the roof even more so. So I wanted you to be really aware of that, because when I first started improving myself for the better and in a position of where I am now, I found that I wasn't eating enough of the nutrient dense foods in colors, and I'm talking about fruits and vegetables and legumes and things like that. I wasn't eating enough of them on my plate through the day that were resulting in cravings. So I guess a really good telltale sign is, if this is a contributing factor for you, Nick, Kelly, and anyone else listening, is if you are having big gaps between your meals. So you're getting up and you're waiting, you know, an hour or a couple of hours until you eat breakfast. The fasting is far too long. Or say you are getting up and having breakfast, but then it's, you know, 4 or 5 hours between your next meal. Your body needs a constant supply of those nutrients to keep your insulin and your glucose happy and steady. Once you start missing meals, your body just drops, and as soon as the insulin gets too low, that's where that sugar craving says, hello, I'm not doing good here, I need some food. Unfortunately, even though our bodies are really smart, the message that our brain translates is always, I just need sugar, irrespective of where we would really like it to be turning around and saying, hey, I just need some more nutrient dense food. Hey, I just need some more leafy green vegetables. Hey, I just need some more colorful, low energy carbs in my plate. It doesn't tell us that specifically. The message is, hey, I just need sugar. So I think for a lot of people, there's going to be a couple of aspects where there's an emotional attachment to sweet things, which is fine. That's us controlling our controllables and working, like I said, to include some sweet replacements. But then it's also about recognizing some of the aspects that could be making those cravings more profound. So the physical aspect, so skipping meals, not having enough nutrient dense food volume, they're going to be driving our cravings further and further up the up the wall, and that's where you start to get really frustrated with your body because you think, what's wrong with me? But truly they're, you know, it's all addressable. Kelly, I hope that answers your question. One of the other questions that you submitted was that, here we go, sorry, I have written them down. If one of your clients was feeling like they had lost their why, as in why they are changing, what are your hints for helping to get it back or to define a new why? So again, Kelly submitted this question. Thank you. This is a problem that everyone will face at some point in their transformation, if not multiple points in their transformation. So Kelly, it sounds to me like maybe you're in this space, or you're feeling like you're edging closer to it. You are joining a huge culture of people, i.e. everyone, that puts in some kind of effort to change their ways. We all go through it, and if somebody says they don't, they're lying. So regardless of where you're at, whether you have lost your why or you are starting to feel like your bum's steering away, it is time, at that pinnacle moment, it is time to ask yourself why you are doing this. So emotionally, you need to ask yourself why you're getting up every morning, why you are hauling your ass to the gym, why you need to go to the supermarket every week, why you are spending time doing your meal preps, why you are making such an effort to go to bed on time so that you have a good night's sleep. Now, those things emotionally can change over a period of time, but emotionally you are going to have answers, and typically they are the same responses that keep you up at night. They're going to be the same responses that have you crying in front of the mirror. So they're going to be things like, I don't want to be fat anymore. I want to be able to run around with my kids. I want to be able to live a life where I'm not a spectator. I want to be in my life. I want to be a participant. And those are the things currently for you as to why you are doing what you're doing. So sometimes people get really caught up on having a projected why, and they can tend to lose sight of that once they actually start putting their feet in front of each other and getting towards their transformation. But I like to always come back to that conversation about, why am I even bothering with this? Why do I do this? And it's about this stuff that keeps you up at night. It's not that you want to lose weight. It's more to the fact that you potentially have got something coming up in the next couple of days and you don't have anything nice to wear. Nothing that makes you feel confident, nothing that makes you feel sexy, nothing that makes you feel good about yourself. And that is the reason why you are doing this, because you just can't bear to put yourself through this anymore. So it's about having that question, you know, with yourself, Kelly, and asking yourself very honestly what you don't like about yourself, and basically coming to terms with that. And then that emotional goal is going to be what resets you. But I do, as I said before, there is this time where people start working towards their transformation and their why actually changes. So they may start and they say, all I want is energy. I just want to have the energy to go out and have a lunch date with my friends, or go on a walk with my friends and then we get coffee afterwards. Those types of things are the reason why, because they want to feel included. They want to have a lovely social circle. They want to feel like they are validated, amongst their social friends, and being able to do that. So what happens is when you start your transformation, you might find that your original why becomes a little less meaningless. And that can be from two reasons. It could be from because you actually achieve it, because your fitness, you may have worked it up to that point where you can go on that walk with your friends and get coffee, and then all of a sudden you have lost your why, and it's not as meaningful because you're sort of like, I can pretty much do that. Should I be? And then, that mindset starts with like, should I be putting in so much effort when I've already got what I want? So the why changes and you start to lose a little bit of that drive and a little of that determination. So it's about then revisiting it, saying, all right, what do I want out of my body next? What do I want for myself next? What don't I like about myself or my life or my body or whatever it is that I want to change? What desperately do I want to make different? And that's about revisiting it. So that's where when people say they lose their why and they start, losing their determination, that's your complacency. That is, a big slap in the face as to, you're getting there. So personally, my why has changed about 50 million times since I've started all those years ago, because when I first started doing what I do, all I wanted was a period. I didn't have one for 18 months. And all I wanted to be was, I wanted to have my period back, and I wanted to be able to put on clothes any day of the week and not feel like a fat slob. That's all I wanted. And then sure enough, when my period came back and my body started to change, it was like, oh shit, well, I've kind of achieved everything that I wanted. I have to change my why. So I've had to ask myself those same questions. What's keeping me up at night? What don't I like? And that started to pave that way. And then I also guess that when it's attached, when you identify your why, it's about being accountable to it. So telling us coaches, Kelly, what your new why is, and laying down some foundational decisions that you're changing about yourself, that you're committing to. So identifying your why and then staying accountable to it is also, a critical step as well. So I hope that helps you. And Kelly, you have asked about doing a kitchen tour, which I will actually do for you, but stay tuned because I'm going to answer all the questions. So Kelly's asked for a kitchen tour and to show off some of my own tools of the trade in my own place. And I will save that till the end because I'm going to get up and start walking around. Hello to the ladies that have joined us. If you can hear me, please just put a little like or an emoji or something, comment to say you can hear me. Otherwise, potentially, I am just waffling on to myself and no one can hear. So the next question that was submitted is from Kelly again. Thank you. And her tips, her question was, what are your top tips for dealing with gym anxiety caused by COVID? I mean, anxiety around going to the gym. I am convinced that if I am going to get COVID anywhere, it will be at the gym. So I guess some hints or tips on how to be COVID safe while at the gym, or how to talk myself out of the anxiety would be great. Okay, so there's two things here. So we all at this stage pretty much have got some idea about how to be COVID safe. And that's just, typically your mask, don't stand near anybody if you don't need to, make sure you wash your hands, and, all those typical things. If you're feeling sick, don't go. But at the gym, that can be a whole new sort of ball game, because you're amongst people that are leaving, sweat stained equipment, they're handling things and it's not particularly being disinfected. So I would say that where you can, if you are a bit conscious about the COVID, exposure at the gym, do what you can. So if it's at all possible, wear your mask while you're at the gym. You may not be able to wear it while you're actually working out, like you're actually doing a set, so you can just like drop it down. But as soon as you are, freely breathing, you can pop it back on again. The disinfectant wipes at the gym, you can seek them out. Our gym is terrible for having wipes and disinfectant spray. And I actually saw a lady at the gym the other day. She had taken her own little purse of it was like a little, looked like baby wipes, but I saw that they were disinfectant wipes, and she was just wiping things down before she used it, which I thought was a really good idea, because our gym has somehow very lazy at that. I haven't seen the sprays filled up in forever. I would say before Christmas, forever. So I did see a lady walking around and she had her own little wipes, and that's a really good idea too. As soon as I saw it, I actually thought of you, Kelly, because you'd already asked this question. So wiping down the gym is really good. But inevitably, how to talk yourself out of the anxiety, we have to having those conversations with ourselves before we head out the door. So what we are experiencing at the moment with COVID, we could be getting it anywhere. The gym, the supermarket, we could be getting it from workplace, we could be getting it from anywhere. I guess that I'm not trying to instill more fear in that you are too afraid to leave the house and go to the shops or go to the gym or go to work. But the reality is that you are controlling your controllable. So we can't necessarily control what everybody else is doing, but you can control exactly what you're doing. And I feel like in the respect of triage, heading to the gym and being able to control how much exposure you have to people and their bacteria, if you're wiping machinery down, you actually going to the gym and working out is an immune boosting activity in itself. So I guess that, yes, the gym can be an exposure space, but the act of exercising and feeding yourself with good nutrient dense food is an immune boosting activity in itself. And I feel like the anxiousness around leaving the house will have to come down to you having a conversation with yourself, Kelly, and reminding yourself that you are doing what you can. I've already had COVID. I was fine. It just turned out to be a cold, and I know that everyone experiences things differently, but I am, you know, in a space now where I'm like, well, I did everything possible. I, you know, was wearing a mask. I didn't go out and, you know, smother myself against strangers. I didn't go around licking door handles. So I did everything I can. And I know that the act of working out, the act of eating, you know, highly nutritious food has served me well. And I feel like, Kelly, you are on that track and are doing everything you possibly can to keep your immunity as high as it can be. And then if you do get COVID, you know, you've already at a higher caliber compared to somebody who just does nothing for themselves. They just don't get off the couch. They just eat shit. They're the ones that are sicker for longer and are typically the ones that, you know, suffer from it the most. So I hope that helps you. Nikki has sent in a question. Thank you, Nikki. Her question was, let me just have a drink from now. I'm getting a very dry mouth. Nikki has asked, what is the difference between a hexbar deadlift, also known as a trap bar, and a barbell deadlift, which is the straight bar? I've noticed some of the group do hexbar deadlifts and others do barbell deadlifts. How do you determine who does what? So Kelly, at our us coaches, we have like this hat, and we just draw out of the hat, and it's all random. It's a lucky dip. So, you know, if your name gets pulled out, you get hexbar deadlifts. Actually, no. There is a really good, it's personal between coaches, but for the majority of you know, how we critique for the suitability for an exercise, I guess with the hexbar, it comes down to weight distribution. So with the hexbar, you'll notice that the weight is centered. And when you actually go to pick it up, the weight is centered in between your body. So this is opposed to a barbell where the weight is slightly shifted forward to accommodate the bar, because you can't, obviously the bar is straight, so it's got to be in front of you, which means the weight distribution is slightly forward. And it's not a great deal. It's not like you're, you know, having the bar right out in front of you, but it is a shift. So the load is actually greater. Now, with the hex bar, with the weight being in the middle and you being able to grasp the handles on the side like this, that means that your posture in this position is typically more easily attained. So for someone that is new to, you know, deadlifts, or is suffering from, you know, perhaps an injury, or is returning from rehab or something like that, where their posture isn't as strong, perhaps they've got a poor core stability, their back muscles aren't able to support the load, which is the weight on the bar, a hex bar could be more suitable because the position and the posture is easily attained from using that trap bar. When you go to use the barbell, however, you've got the bar in front of you like this. So there is a very, very small weight distribution. And for someone who has mastered a squat, for someone that has mastered a lot of their back work, so like lat pull downs and rows, that tells us that that person has a very strong core and can, you know, bear the load of that extra load from the barbell, and they have the posture and stability to actually lift the bar correctly. So when we are assessing people, we do have a look at, you know, where they're at, and where, if they're a beginner, if they're intermediate, or if they're an advanced, you know, their injuries, their abilities, what they actually have at the gym. Because some people say, oh look, there's only a couple of barbells at the gym, but the hex bar is always free. We take that into consideration as well, because the end result and the fitness and the physical gains from it is exactly the same, from a barbell to a hex bar. It's really just being able to negotiate what body type is better suited. So for somebody like Matt, who is really tall and super duper duper strong, you know, he would prefer, and actually, Matt, I have seen you. I don't even know if you're watching. I don't think you are. That's all good. We'll chat about it later. The hex bar gives you a little bit of extra depth. So you because it's higher, so you can grasp the handles and be able to stand up a little bit more freer. And because he's got a back problem, he's able to manage that inside the hex bar because of the weight distribution. Whereas a barbell can put a lot of stress on the lower back for some people if they haven't got that stability there. So that's pretty much how we assess for that, Nikki. There's no right or wrong. I do like to swap between hex bar and barbell. It depends, but typically for a beginner, the hex bar is almost like a no-brainer. My partner is not new to the gym, but when he saw me deadlifting with the barbell, and of course, I want to do what she's doing. And I said, well, you could start with the hex bar, and he nailed his technique straight away. And so the transition to the barbell was quite smooth, as opposed to starting with the barbell and what have you. It can be a little bit harder. So that's how we determine that one, Nikki. Let me just make sure I've answered your question. Wouldn't be the first time I just start talking and then I don't answer the question. How do you determine who does what? Yes. Okay. So yeah, it's basically, you know, posture, injuries, core stability, core strength, and overall muscle, you know, range of motion. Nikki's sent another question. I love it. Can you please update us on the status of your gym crush? So for anyone that is perhaps new to the transformation team, actually you've probably never met me before. My name's Megan. How you going? Hi. You guys may not be aware, but some of the older members, more existing members, are aware that I have a couple of gym crushes. One in particular, I haven't actually seen him in a while, but having said that, our gym has recently died off in the last couple of weeks, and like I said, I did have COVID, so I had to have some downtime from the gym because I was in isolation. I went this morning and none of my gym crushes were there at all, like none of them. So I have no update, nothing, got neither. So anyway, I've decided that if I don't see my gym crushes in the next week, what I will have to do is pick new gym crushes, and I will keep you updated on that. So anyway, now it is time. I'm just gonna, excuse me, take my phone. Nikki has asked for a tool of the trade and a kitchen tour. So excuse me while I just go downstairs. So if you're new to the transformation team, you will see that one of the tasks is the kitchen tools of the trade and what have you. So everyone, you know, sort of gets interested to see who's got what, and this is my kitchen. So number one, actually before we even get there, I will show you my cupboard where I keep all my little gadgets. Hang on one second. Here we go. So this is my cupboard where I keep some of my tools of the trade. So I've got my air fryer here. I've told Tim that if we don't get married one day, I will marry this because it is one of the best things in the whole wide world. This is where I do all my roasted vegetables. I cook chicken and everything in there. At the back, I've got my fryer. I've got a big pot for my soups and my slow cooker. Both of those things, actually all four of those things, I can't pick one which I love most. They all serve a really, really good purpose. So those stay in the cupboard there. Now I will start and show you. I did do a food prep last night, so my container cupboard is a little bit sad, but that is all my containers. So it's not typically that neat because I did tidy it last night after I cooked. Normally it's a shitstorm in there. There's just lids and fucking all sorts of crap going on. This is where I prep my food. So actually that's usually Tim's spot for prepping food, and I usually stand up here. We cook together on the same night. He helps me and I help him. So on a Thursday night, we go and do all our food shopping, and then we come home and cook it all. So I cook for a whole week. I don't like cooking, so I've just agreed that if I'm going to do it, it has to be done once and that's it. So we buy a shitload of food and we just do one big cook up with stuff that gets us through for an entire week. So he normally preps here and I normally prep over there. However, excuse the dishes, this is where I just keep all my plates and stuff. I do have a spare cupboard here, which is, that's my soda stream. I got that for Christmas. Oh my God, I love it. I never realized how good SodaStream was. I mean, it's not necessary tool of the trade, but holy shit, it's so good. I have soda water anytime. So that's that. I've got my drawers filled with utensils and measuring cups and stuff like that. What's in there? That's just cutlery. So I have an oven. I have a feeling it's on its way out because sometimes it turns on, sometimes it does not. Stovetop. Electric stovetop. This is my percolator for my coffee. I don't know if any of you are Italian. I'm not, but I love my percolated coffee. I have a microwave, can't live without it. And here is my drawer with pots and pans and trays and what have you. My fridge. So I'm going to just turn this around because I feel like I'm going to drop my phone. Just one second. Okay, so this is my fridge. So all of my prepped food is all the way in there. I did a frittata quiche thing, like a, what do you call it? Crustless quiche. More prepped food. These are all my sauces and spices and what have you. As you can see, there's not a lot of junk in here. Actually, oh, what the hell is that? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what that is. That must be Tim's. But we're getting ready to go away and travel on, well, he's going tomorrow. I'm going on Monday. So I will take some of this food with me. But for most of it, I will have to cook when I get there. So our fridge is looking a little bare at the moment. But anyway, they're all my sauces, spices, herbs, you name it. I got it. Freezer, it's pretty empty right now because I don't really need to have too much food in there. I have a set of knives. Now, the others are probably in the dryer. Can't go without those. These are good quality knives. I bought these about, maybe 6 years ago. I think they cost about 300 Australian dollars for how many knives are there, and they are still going strong. The best investment ever. Chopping boards, I've got a whole heap of those. My blender. I have one of the big ones and I have a NutriBullet, but I don't know where that is. I think it's at Tim's office. Anyway, this is my pantry. So it's a little bit boring, I feel like, compared to some of the other people. I keep all my supplements in one corner. It's my lovely big bag collection. And then it's pretty much stock standard. Oh, that's dog food. Food in here. So this is all the dry food, canned stuff. I don't keep a whole I don't know. I'm not a big collector of like non-perishable things. I like to just buy as I go. So people look at me and they're like, there's no food in your pantry. Yes, you're exactly right. So this is Tim's little spot here. So we talk about having, let me just bring you back. We talk about having designated space, you know, for our partners or kids or families, whatever, that don't eat the food that we eat. And Tim doesn't eat exactly the same stuff. So we've agreed that 3/4 of everything is mine and 1/4 of everything is still mine, but I let him use, including the pantry. So that space just here with the biscuits and what have you, that is actually mine. I won that. I will drink it one day. Biscuits and stuff, that's his little section, and it's a bit empty at the moment because he only buys, you know, what he's going to eat. He knows not to buy, you know, 5 weeks worth of treats because he'll eat them in 5 minutes. So that's his little space in the pantry. And typically he takes the top shelf in the fridge if he wants to buy, you know, treats or what have you. So that's my kitchen. I think I pretty much got everything. I think so. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we're pretty much set up here. And yeah, I can't think of anything. Has anyone watching got any questions for me while we're still live? Pretty sure that I answered everything in the group. Oh my God, it's hot today. I don't know where you're in the world, but it's flipping hot. No, I've answered everything. All right, well, you know what? I am going to say that that's a wrap. It has been a really good session. And you know what? If you're watching this later on, I hope you enjoy it. And for everyone else who is watching live, you go and have a great day. Thanks, everyone.